Sanibona, ngaphambi singene kwivideo namuhla, ngithi angithathe lethuba ngibonge i-support nothando nesikhombise lona lingaphezu kokucabanga kwethu. Siyacela niqhubeke nisiphote njalo ngokubuka amavidiyo ethu, ungakhohlwa ukukhomenta, ushare, ulike. Siyafisa ukuzwa umbono wakho. Sicela ke singene kwivideo namuhla.
Osukwini la izolo ngikubekele ngesinqumo esithathwe ileli lunga lika-ANC okuSuleiman Karim othathe uJustice Mbuyiseni Madlanga wamusa enkantolo ngenhloso ukuthi ufuna ukuthi inkantolo ivimbe iCommission ukuthi ingambiza angatestify unless labantu abam-implicated ku-General Dumisani Khumalo, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi no-Brown Mokgotsi ba-cross-examinwe ngabameli bakhe. Ngakho-ke ufake leyo application on urgent basis. Kodwa into eyenziwa uJustice Madlanga namuhla uprove ipoint. Siyakhumbula ukuthi ngeviki eliphelile kunalo phoyisa leli athi ngingambiza isibongo sakhe. Kodwa bathe bazombiza ngo-witness F. Kodwa iphoyisa lakhona siyalazi wakwakhuluma ngalo General Khumalo. Ilele labonakala liphethe ipaper bag yayimhlophe isemzini kaKati Somlifu okwakuthiwa wayeyi-middleman uphakathi kukaSibiya noKati Somlifu, yena umuntu owayithunywa ehlenyuka, singambiza ngo-Ice Boy. So bafaka i-application ngeviki eliphelile ukuthi bacele i-commission ihlehliswe angatestify yena already, kodwa bathola amaphepha amaningi. Ngakho-ke kusafuneka ukuthi about 4,000 pages, ngakho-ke kusafuneka ukuthi bayifundisise kahle babheke. Then i-commission yamenzela umusa yathi uzotestifya namuhla uma efika bafika ne-application esibili ethi ayipostponwe, bacela ukuthi ipostponwe isuku lanamhlanje angatestify namuhla babasaye enkantolo bazozibeka-ke izathu zabo. Kodwa-ke ngizobuyela lapho ila ngithi khona uJustice Mbuyiseni Madlanga namhlanje into ayenzile uprove ipoint not only to lo baba lo oyiphoyisa, kodwa he's also proving a point nakuSuleiman Karim nanoma ubani omunye osazobizwa iCommission bese cabanga ukuthi iCommission uzotreata noma kanjani. Sibonile ukuthi kwi-commission kaNkabinde lena ebheke ukusebenza kuka-DPP uChauke ukuthi is he fit not hold office or not. U-Advocate Shamila Batoyi uvele wayishiya nje i-commission kwangenzeka lutho. Kodwa uMadlanga uzama ukuprove ipoint ukuthi abangacabanga ukuthi ngoba bebone u-Advocate Shamila Batoyi ekwenza lokho bazokwenza nala kuMadlanga commission. Bangacabanga ukuthi futhi uma beyenkantolo beyomthusa indaba yenkantolo uzolalela lokho, yena wenza umsebenzi wakhe kuphela. Ngizofunda i-affidavit yakhe aresponda ngalo ludaba olufakwe uSuleiman Karim lapha ya enkantolo, bese ke ngicaphunela amazwibela nje kule video engithi mina namhlanje ube prove point uze save isikhathi sovele sifunde. Kodwa yona uyithumela kwi-High Court yase Johannesburg. Case number nansi lapha phezulu, in a matter between Suleiman Karim or applicant and Justice Mbuyiseni Madlanga or defendant or respondent ongummangalelo. Affidavit. This document was filed electronically by the register on 29 January 2026 at 10:50:36 AM South African Standard Time. The time and date the document was filed by the parties presented on the header of each page of this document. Then basically electronically signed by Nasiki stamp, please. Open quotes. I, the undersigned, Mbuyiseni Russell Madlanga, state under oath that 1. I am a retired judge of the Constitutional Court and the chairperson of the Commission of Inquiry into Criminality, Political Interference and Corruption in the Criminal Justice System, the Commission. 2. The facts contained in this affidavit are, unless the context indicates otherwise, within my own personal knowledge and are, to the best of my knowledge and belief, true and correct. 3. I am the first respondent in this application. 4. In this application, the applicant, Mr. Karim, seeks urgent interim relief pending inter alia. 4.1. His receipt from the Commission of answers to a series of interrogatories that his attorneys addressed to the Commission in letters dated 19 November 25 November, 12 December, and 14 January. And 4.2. Final determination of his application to review and set aside the decision of the Commission to issue a notice in terms of Regulation 10 in bracket 6 that was to serve on him on 29 October 2025 and called upon him to furnish a sworn statement addressing certain topics identified by the commissions in that notice. The application appears to have been designed to enable Mr. Karim to avoid testifying before the commissions on Friday, 6 February 2026, as appears from the founding affidavit. 5.1. Mr. Karim was first summoned to appear to testify before the commissions on 3 December 2025 by means of a subpoena dated 12 November 2025, Annexure SC5 to the founding affidavit. 5.2. In order to accommodate Mr. Karim, on 25 November 2025, the Commission excused him from testifying on the 3rd of December 2025. See Annexure SC5 to the founding affidavit. And on the 5th of December 2025, furnished him with a new subpoena, calling him to testify before commissions on 23 January 2025, Annexure SC5 to the founding affidavit. 5.3. After the commissions adjourned in December 2025 due to the unavailability of one of my co-commissioners, the commission was not able to resume hearing until 26 January 2025. That meant the subpoena calling upon Mr. Karim to withdrawn. On 15 January 2026, the commissions notified Mr. Karim that he was no longer required to present himself to testify on the 23rd of January 2026, and that he was subpoenaed to appear before the commission to testify on 6 February 2026. Annexure SC12 to the founding affidavit. 5.4. In view of Mr. Karim's attorney's continuous complaints about needing more information, in their letter of 15 January 2025, the Commission's attorney invited Mr. Karim and his attorney to a meeting on 23 January 2025 to meet the evidence leaders and attempt to resolve the apparent impasse. Mr. Karim's attorney declined that invitation. The application was launched on 26 January 2026. The commission was given less than 36 hours to file its answering affidavit. It was served after hearing comments in the morning of 26 January 2026. And in the knowledge that my fellow commissioners and I will be required to sit in hearing until 4 p.m. on both 26 and 27 January 2026, the commission was accordingly given no days and only 2 nights to finish its answering affidavit in the urgent application. 7. The agents that ostensibly justified this extraordinary truncation of time period was Mr. Karim's obligation to appear to give oral evidence at the commissions on 6 February 2026. 8. Mr. Karim chose to impose this extreme urgency on the commissions, notwithstanding the fact that before launching the application, Mr. Karim had chosen to delay. 8.1. 3 full months since receiving the notice in terms of regulations 10 in bracket 6 that he seeks to review and seal aside in part B. 8.2. More than 10 weeks since he was first subpoenaed to give oral evidence before the commission. 8.3. More than 9 weeks since first directing interrogatories to the commission that he now says he must answer before he can be called upon to testify. 8.4. More than 7 weeks since his appearance date was rescheduled from 5 December 2025 to 23 January 2026, and 9 days after he was informed
that his appearance date will be rescheduled to 6 February 2026. The extreme agency foisted onto the Commission's needs also to be viewed in the light of the fact that the agency relief sought by Mr. Karim, while dressed up as interim relief, will inevitably be final relief. The Commission is currently due to run only to March 2026. A copy of the proclamation extending the terms of Commission to 16 March 2026 is attached as Annexer MRM 1. Even if the commissions were to apply to extend its term again, its proceedings will have been finalized long before the Part B review application could be heard. So the interim relief sought by Mr. Karim will, in relief, be final relief. 10. The application is accordingly a manifest abuse of process, and any agency faced by Mr. Karim is entirely of his own making. The Commission will accordingly ask for the application to be struck off the roll with punitive cost. In fact, the abuse of process goes further. 11.1. Insofar as the application is designed to enable Mr. Karim to avoid having furnished a statement to the Commission under oath, that ship has sailed. 11.1.1. The Commission issued notice in terms of Regulation 10 in bracket 6 calling for a sworn statement to ensure that it has statement from the witness who is going to testify before the Commission and is able to lead the witness on her or his statement before witness is subjected to any testing.
Questioning. That process is in the interest of the orderly process of the Commission. It enables the Commission to know what the version of a witness is and to allow the witness to give the version without being subjected to intrusive questioning. 11.1.2. The process is also in the interest of the witness. It enables her or him to draft her or his own statement and thus to present her or his version in the form he or she chooses to present it, rather than having version extracted through the questioning of an evidence leader who may not want to present the facts in the same way that the witness wants to present them. 11.1.3. Due to the delays of Mr. Karim and his attorney, the Commission is now resigned itself to the fact that evidence of Mr. Karim will be led without the benefit of the statement. That will make proceedings more cumbersome than they need to be. But that is an inevitable consequence of the obstructive attitude that Mr. Karim and his attorney have taken. 11.1.4. Mr. Karim refused to furnish statement in response to the notice in terms of Rule 10 in bracket 6 that may or may not have amounted to the commission of a criminal offense. However, any issue as to the criminality of Mr. Karim's conduct, which will raise questions of mens rea, is not relevant to interdictory relief in relation to the statement. The Commission accepts that it is not going to be able to coerce Mr. Karim to furnish statement before he testifies on the 6th of February 2026. The interdictory relief sought in relation to the statement has therefore now become moot. 11.2. That leaves the summon to appear before the Commission to testify on the 6th February 2026. Here, the present application is manifestly defective because it does not address the subpoena that was served on Mr. Karim on Friday, 23 January 2026 by the Sheriff of Mahikeng. That subpoena, signed by me, requires Mr. Karim to present himself to testify before the Commission on 6 February 2026. Mr. Karim was aware of the subpoena because the sheriff personally called him to notify him of service. Yet, he inexplicably failed to deal with the subpoena in his founding papers. Copies of the subpoena and the return of service are attached as Annexure MRM2 and MRM3, respectively. The address of service is the address provided by Mr. Karim's attorney for service on Mr. Karim in paragraph 10 of their letter of 25 November 2025, Annexure SC8 to the founding affidavit. As appears from the return of service, the sheriff records that he telephoned Mr. Karim on 23 January 2026 to inform him that he was serving the subpoena. 11.3. In summary, the interdictory relief 11.3.1 is now mute in relation to the statement, and 11.3.2 cannot avail Mr. Karim in relation to his obligation to testify before the Commission on 6 February 2026 because his papers does not address the subpoena that I issued, compelling him to testify on the date and was served on him on 23 January 2026. 12. So, quite aside from the abuse of process inherent in the self-created agents that Mr. Karim used to subject the Commission to grossly unreasonable timetables in relation to calm for final relief dressed up as urgent interim relief, the urgent relief that he seeks is moot in relation to sworn statement and wholly unsustainable insofar as relates to his appearance to testify before the Commission on 6 February 2026. For these reasons, I respectfully submit that the application should be struck off the roll with punitive cost. Alternatively, dismiss with punitive costs. 14. In relation to the merits of the application, beyond the fact that the interim interdictory relief is misconceived for the reasons set out above, I respectfully submit that there is no prima facie case made out by Mr. Karim that the balance of the convenience is clearly in the Commission's favor. In order to substantiate these allegations, however, I will have to 14.1 describe the nature of the Commissions of Inquiry. The fact that it can only make recommendations and cannot make binding determinations, and the consequences of that for its capacity to affect the rights of persons that appear before it as witness. 14.2 distinguish between the adversarial processes of civil and criminal litigations which are defined by pleading and the inquisitorial process of a commission of inquiry, which is not defined by pleadings but is governed only by terms of reference and principles of fairness. Close quotes. Asiyibambe la. Usayinile lapho Justice Madlang ayisengifunda isikhathi eside kakhulu ngithi ngiyabheka sengu-18 minutes ngisafunda kuphela ngiyabona ukuthi ngiyoqeda kudala kanti kusasela amapheji amabili kodwa nje lilonke into ayisho Justice Madlang ukuthi le application le ucela ukuthi inkantolo ichithe nama-cost wayo Mr. Karim abhadala ama-cost ngoba akujiki ukuthi yena ufuna azotestify ngomhla ka-6. So angithi yena ufuna ukuthi inkantolo ithi akangatestify. So uma ngase inkantolo ithi iyayichitha le-application yakhe ukuthi kuzomphoqa ukuthi azotestify ngomhla ka-6 uma kungenjalo lisafa the consequences. But isinquma sithathe namuhla uJustice Mbuyiseni Madlanga, he was proving a point or he was sending a clear message.
This, it just does not make sense at all to me. For you to then make us wait for you, for something that could be done by someone else. For example, last week, you were there with Mr. Please remind me. Mr. Malika. You were there with Mr. Malika. Why could Mr. Malika not attend to that? Or whoever else for that matter. This is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. It's actually unprofessional conduct to make us wait. Why did you not communicate with Mr. Shaskalsen?
Mr. Commissioner, like I indicated, that I've been in contact with the attorneys.
Why did you not communicate with Mr. Shaskalsen?
I don't have Mr. Chakalson's direct number.
You
I
were
have-
communicating with the commission's attorneys. You could easily have gotten his number from them. That's not an excuse.
Commissioner, maybe if I'm given chance to respond, then the commissioner will
Yes, go
appreciate-
ahead, please. Go ahead.
Thank you. As of yesterday, Commissioner, I have 6 times called DM attorneys, and I spoke to Mr. Mbao to give me the number of Geraldine Berger, who I know and have been introduced since the beginning of this proceedings to be the person, to be the contact person. For the entire day, I was not given those numbers. This morning, I spoke to the main director of DM attorneys himself, and I indicated my disappointment that their law firm, since yesterday, I've been communicating with one of the officials just to get through to Geraldine Berger, and I could not get those details. I was quite very happy when I now deal with the main director, and we started exchanging since this morning. We're traveling with one car. When we were just about to arrive, and I was requested to have a copy of the High Court, I indicated to Mr. Mokhasho that for some reason since this morning, my phone cannot open PDF documents. So I'm waiting for Mr. Maleka to come outside court. I'm standing outside court so that I can send the necessary documentation to him. Unfortunately, in this particular instance, there was never any malice or any intention on our side to disrespect the commission. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning dealing with this particular matter. We left our office 2 o'clock this morning.
Mr. Mwato, I will say this, and I do not want us to engage any further on it. What you say from where I'm sitting are excuses that are totally unacceptable. I maintain what I said earlier, which is that knowing that you had to be here at 9:30, there was no reason for you to attend to a minor, yes, important administrative issue that could have been attended to by anybody. Totally unacceptable. The discussion is closed.
But we appreciate
Yes,
the apologies
Mr.
for that, Commissioner.
Sorry?
We apologize for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Shaskalsen?
Chair, Mr. Ngwato was going to move a postponement
Thank
application.
Yes. Mr. Ngwato, we have before us your postponement application. Can you proceed to move it, please?
Indeed. Commissioner, I must appreciate and thank the Commission for having granted us the postponement last week. And indeed, we definitely used off the time to the best of our ability as was granted since last week. However, since we started finalizing the documentation, certain things really cropped up and showed and changed the direction that we were taking, which therefore since necessitated this application. As it's commonly known, we are the creatures of instruction. It's our client instruction then to bring an urgent application in the High Court, purely and solely for 2 reasons. As the Commission is in possession of the papers, I take that the papers might have been read, and I apologize that they've been submitted to the Commission almost on the 11th hour. The first reason, Commission, is the same reason, one of the reasons that we mentioned last week, that the applicant, before he could even make his first written submission to the Commission on the 17th of December, an interim report was already been issued, which we fully understand and correctly so in terms of section 10.4 of the terms of reference, that the Commission is entitled to do so. But 2 days before he could even make his first written submission, an interim report has already been issued, which had recommendations and findings and recommendations against him. Unbeknown, and obviously we do not have access to that particular interim report, but just a day before our appearance on the 30th of January, which is last week, Friday, the state president publicly announced that he accepted the same report, and therefore an announcement was made that he needs to be charged. It is on the basis, that's the first reason, it's on the basis of that is of the view that even though at the Commission he is a witness, not an accused, but whatever he may be able to say as a witness at the Commission he may incriminate himself, which will be a violation in terms of section 35(3) of the Constitution. The second aspect that made us to then make the application to the High Court, Commissioner, is that in perusing the WhatsApp charts, the nature of the WhatsApp chats and the manner in which they've been extrapolated, it only shows outgoing and incoming. Even if messages that were not originated by him, but he received them when they were forwarded to him, appears to be that he's the originator of the messages, which they now distort the narrative and the version and how things are in terms of those messages. And as a result, that will then necessitate that he now gains access. Oh, I apologize. That will now necessitate that we look into how the messages were extrapolated in terms of, from his phone, in terms of, from the time it was
Feel free to either put it on silent or switch it off. Don't feel any pressure not to do that.
Mr. Commissioner, it's not even my phone, it's Mr. Maleka's phone, and I don't know his password or
Okay,
his
all right.
pattern, how to close it off.
No, that's-
So mine is here, and this is Mr. Maleka's phone, is Mr. Maleka's phone ringing.
All right, thank you.
So in the manner in which how this, the chain of evidence, or the chain from the time his phone was taken.
Is that Mr. Maleka? Please go across.
Sorry, sorry, yeah.
Are you no longer comfortable to support your boss the way you did last week, Mr. Maleka? All right. Please continue. I'm sorry about the interruption, Mr.
Thanks,
Ngwato.
Commissioner.
Yes.
So the manner in which the charts were downloaded or extrapolated from his phone leaves much to be desired, which appears to be a violation in terms of how the evidence is being presented, because it doesn't show the messages that are forwarded. It doesn't show that he received it as being forwarded to him, but it shows as if he's now the originator. And some key people or chats that he had with other people are not included in that. And I quite understand that the evidence leader said there were certain messages that are not of interest. But for a consistency basis, in particular, he's been much more in communication with one particular general and as opposed to the other. But and the things that they were discussing with the other are not included. That shows a wrong narrative or misplaced the whole view of the situation. And as a result, it was my clients obtained a legal opinion from 2 SCs, senior counsels, who then are the ones that are currently working on the application in the High Court with a junior counsel based in Durban. These had to have took place as a matter of one day, having to go through this thing. And it is on that basis that if he is to come before this commission, whatever he says may not change because of, before he could make the first statement, an interim report was made. Before he could even appear, the president has already accepted that. So whatever he comes here and says may not change the narrative. And more likely that he will incriminate himself in any answer that he gives. And it's on that basis that that the applicant decided to launch an application in the High Court to restrict this commission, not to compel him to appear and not to compel him to answer any questions until pending the finalization of that application in the High Court. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Ngwato. Mr. Ngwato, I read, because I received the application only this morning, I read it hurriedly and I may have either missed or misread what I'm about to raise. I don't remember in the affidavit a point being made about WhatsApp chats that appear to have been initiated by the witness when in fact they were not. Did I miss that? Or is this something you are stating for the first time from the bar, as it were?
Commissioner, I was just trying to elaborate on the reasons that I
Wait,
given. Because
then-
the first ground of him
Yes.
wanting the High Court to interdict is that his WhatsApp chat should not be displayed because those WhatsApp chats are not correct. They are incorrect in the manner in which they have come from, because the entire bundle of documents, they only show outgoing and ingoing. Even the WhatsApps that somebody forwarded to him and he sent it to somebody, it only shows that he's the one sending and making him the originator, while he's the actual fact not the originator of the message.
Okay. With the exception of what you are raising from the bar, my reading of the application is that the only new thing that's being raised in the application affidavit is the issue relating to Section 35 of the Constitution. The rest is something that the applicant ought to have raised in his postponement application moved last week. Do you agree with me?
May you please repeat?
I'm saying I read the application, today's application, to raise only one new issue, leaving aside the point that you are making from the bar. And that one new issue is the issue relating to Section 35 of the Constitution, the right to a fair trial in the context of a criminal trial. That's the only new thing that I saw in my reading of the application. The rest are issues that the applicant ought to have raised in his postponement application that was moved last week. What's your comment on that?
If I understand you, Commissioner, is that the things that are mentioned in the current application, is the Commissioner saying most of them are the things that were raised in the previous application?
Are the sort of things that could and ought to have been raised in last week's application. The exception is the Section 35 issue. That, on my reading, is the only new issue.
You're attributing to the President and to this Commission things that are not said anywhere, and you're using them as a basis for a postponement application and a High Court application. I will read for you what the President said in his statement. The Commission has said there's prima facie evidence of wrongdoing, and referrals are made in respect of these people. But you making an application on the basis that there's a criminal case and somebody has been charged.
You are not saying to us, here are the facts about those WhatsApp messages. Here's what they speak to. And so you commissioners should not allow them to be showed. I mean, that's what you do with an application. You're asking for indulgence from us. There's no order of court that says we can't proceed. So as matters stand, we are entitled to proceed. You seek an indulgence. You haven't, in this application, pleaded any facts on which we would base our indulgence, at least according to me. And I don't know that there's any, and of course subject to the chairperson, I don't know that there's
Facts or law.
Facts or law, absolutely. I really don't know that there's any, we're serving any real purpose with this continued exchange. You have made your case on your papers. You've been engaged by us. You're not saying anything new to us. You keep repeating what you have said. I'm not sure where we're going with it.
Chair, with the permission of Chair.
Yes, Mr. Ngwato.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I really don't want to appear not listening and taking the cue from the Commission. But I really have a serious problem with the following issues that there is no basis. Chair, the Commission is based on the terms of reference. The terms of reference are quite very specific as to what the Commission needs to inquire. It is not any other thing. And the specific issues that the Commission need to inquire is to establish the following issues. One, if there's any infiltration in...
Can you please, we all
Yes.
know what the terms of reference provide.
So when we look in terms of the answers is to give, it is not just any other thing, whether it's a speed limit or anything else. It is specifically in terms of the terms of reference of the Commission. We serve as the basis. If they say there's a prima facie evidence of wrongdoing, that is in terms of the terms of reference of the Commission, not nothing in anything else. And it is that, Madam Commissioner, that we have looked in terms of what the terms of reference of the Commission is, We have looked in terms of the WhatsApps. We have looked in terms of the process. We have looked in terms of the answer that they have to be able to provide. Is there any possibility of increment? Definitely there is.
The following order is made. 1, the application for a postponement is refused. 2, the evidence leaders are granted leave to present as evidence the WhatsApp chats that relate to witness F and, where necessary, to comment on them. 3, witness F is ordered to remain at the remote location from which he is supposed to testify until he is excused by the commission. That's the order. Having so ordered, we cannot allow witness F to get a free ride in the face of the provisions of Section 6 of the Commissions Act and Regulation 8(1), both of which create an offense for refusing to answer questions at the commission. So,
Justice Madlanga la has sent a clear message to anyone ocabanga ukuthi uma engafuni ukuzophendula kwe-commission uzohlala angazophendula. Njengoba besho ukuthi ukunqaba ukuphendula imibuzo, it's a criminal offense, ungachargewa ngalokho. So yeah, ngiyacanga ukuthi lento yenzeke kahle ngosuku lapho khona uKarim eza namaplan ukuthi angatestify kwi-commission. Nangalesikhathi lapho khona uwitness F eseza namaplan ukuthi akafuni ukutestify, bavele bathumele a clear message. Yinhle kakhulu lento esiyibonayo. Yazi ngifisa ngabe kwenzeka kanje nakwi-commission kaNkabinde. Abafunde kuMadlanga. Abafunde ngempela kuJustice Madlanga. Mina nawe sidibane kwi-video landelayo. Cela ukuzokuphala kwakho la comment section. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.